everybody. Welcome back to the Generative Edge. I'm Brandon.
And this is Vyas. So excited to be here.
And we are joined by a special guest, Jan Hejtmánek, today. Welcome, Jan.
Hi, thanks for having me.
What do you do?
We discussed it before, right?
Yeah.
So we in Deloitte, we've got all the different titles, right? I'm Deloitte, for first, right? So I'm Deloitte, and my role right now is called Market Activation Leader for GenAI in Central Europe.
Great.
Which, other words, means that I'm going around to clients and conferences. I try to excite people for GenAI.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
That's what I do.
Tell me more in terms of what exciting things you do as part of that, right? What does it mean, actually, market activation?
As I said, so it goes in three ways. The first way is internally Deloitte, because there is a lot of hustle, a lot of scam around the GenAI. And
talk about it.
I'm ready to.
and the people just they don't understand. They understand. They are afraid. They are excited. They are overly excited, and we'll talk about that today. I'm full of that. So I try to explain that this is just the next technology that will help the people to do the work differently. Now, differently is interesting piece, right? The second piece is I go around the clients and I try to explain them that, yes, this is coming. And yes, by the way, we can do that with different technologies. Maybe it's AWS, maybe it's somebody else. Let's do that. And the third piece is conferences and public speaking. So I try to go there and do some kind of monologue so that the people can get better sleep. And by the end of the 40 minutes, they typically are fine. So I hope that you'll interrupt me, because that will keep the people listening to this podcast.
Okay, sure, for sure. Do you notice any differences doing market activation for generative AI topics versus something that's maybe like less inside of the hype cycle? Because I know that I've gone to conferences and talked about like semantic search, which is one of these really abstract qualities of like natural language processing, but it also forms the basis for GenAI. But since nobody knows what it is, they never get excited about it. It's really hard to activate that market, so to speak. In your experience, generative AI easier to activate, already driven by hype, or is it somehow the same as everything else?
It's not the first hype cycle that I do. Right?
Great.
Yes. How many cycles did you go for the hypes now?
Oh my gosh, you're indirectly asking my age. Quite a few of them.
Quite a few. Yeah. Same with me. I remember. So when I joined Deloitte in 2016, the first internal conference I went to, and that was the hype of RPA. I don't know if you remember that.
Robotic process
automation. Robots will rule the internal accountancy and all of that. And there was one company that they did this gig that they brought the C-suite to a classroom. They gave them the laptops and they told them, okay, automate the process for us, do this and this and this. And the C-suite were all excited that they can do automated stuff instead of the Excel macros. Right?
Yeah.
So that they
I would be too.
they had this gig to do that. And we had this conference in Amsterdam. And there was the top leaders from Deloitte, from Europe. And this company did the pitch there, and all the partners of Deloitte. I was there like manager, looking at the big boys, and all the partners were like, "Yay! We will do millions there, yes!" And like this kind of Wolf of Wall Street moment. And guess what? Yes, it was a success. There was a lot of good stories there. There was also a lot of bad stories there, and then just it kind of vanished. And it was the same thing. We came in there and say, yeah, we'll do the automation. Yeah, okay, we'll, and it will do automatically everything, right? Not really, no, really.
Right.
So it's always the same. The hype is there. The C-suite always gets excited. They see that they can do things differently. They can get the edge over somebody else. Maybe they can get more cost effective. Maybe they can get to wider market. Fine. It's just technology.
Gotcha. And I guess there was also like a rebranding exercise, right? So it's no longer robotic process automation, it's intelligent automation.
Yes.
And then it's GenAI. And before that it was BPM. And before that it was...
What is BPM?
business process
business
management and
Monitoring.
monitoring. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the
Interesting.
IBM tools. What was that? Who else did that? The BPMs.
Tivoli's
IBM.
of the world.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So I've only been in the field for 6 years, so I don't know what happened in ancient history. But sorry. Great. Okay. No, it sounds like something that people also think about generative AI, that it's some kind of like robot, that it's going to be taking the place of a person and taking actions and moving around in the world, and it has context about where it is and what it's doing. When in reality, I mean, it's basically the same. You just have to tell them it's all software. We got to build it.
No, I love the one thing that I heard years back in the days I was doing research in academia there. We had this conference in a small town around, nothing crazy, but it was attended quite well. That's where I met Ivan Havel for the first time. For the AI guys around, they know the name, right?
Who's that?
Who is that?
Ivan. Okay. So Ivan Havel is a brother of our Czech president, Václav Havel. Right?
Okay.
But Ivan was a scientist. So he emigrated to the US and he spent his academia career in the US on AI. So some of the research, he was doing the research on AI in the US with the top guys there. So he met them all. And then he came back after the 90s and he helped us here in Czechia to kickstart the AI with computers.
Gotcha.
And I met him only once, unfortunately, but he was brilliant mind.
Is he the one that came up with word embeddings?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I never made that connection. That's really cool.
Yes.
Okay, so basically everything we do goes back to this person.
And his research team and other guys, yes.
Okay, that's great. Cool.
And what he said there was that people want to be amazed. They want to live in the not in the fairy tales, but they want to feel the magic. That's why all the Harry Potters are so popular, right? All the Avengers, it's all fairy tales and magic. So he said that if it falls behind the horizon of the regular user, that's interesting, but it needs to fall behind the horizon twice for the person and for the person who developed that to be proper magic. And now the people, when they are talking about AI, and they are now making the equal sign between the GenAI and AI, which the people knowledgeable, they just and the ITs are always no, respect the taxonomy. AI is dead and GenAI is dead and machine learning is. Why do you mess up? Guess what? The people don't care as much as I don't care about what's the pieces of the engine.
Yeah.
I don't have the education for that.
But gotcha. this way it was slightly different, right? Yeah. And so what are you hearing from your customers? What are their biggest pain points which they're trying to address using GenAI? I'm sure you have some great stories as the market activation leader.
I recently summarized it into 3 points, actually. The first point is we have done the AI transformation already. We have implemented the GPT, and that's it. We are behind that. Let's go.
Yeah.
The second piece is we have tried that and didn't bring any results, any benefit. And the third thing is when I go there and say, okay, so we will do something there and we will have a chat interface. Another chatbot, go away.
Yeah.
I don't want to see any other chatbot. So that's the 3 things, right? And what the people don't understand is that the GenAI enables us on, I think, 2 main parts. The first part is automation of things that were not possible before.
Right.
Understanding of unstructured or semi-structured data.
Period.
That can be in background, fine. Like I don't know, in healthcare, getting the early cancer recognized, or then that doesn't have any interface. It just happens in the background. You just get the X-ray, and the machine will tell you, "Yep, that's okay, good."
Right.
The second piece is what I studied, and that's the human-machine interaction. How do we interact with the machine? That's the one that the people understand because they see that. Well, understand the change. They don't understand what's happening behind.
Right. They're using that interface.
So they don't understand that in 80s it was a punch cards, right? The interface with the computer. In the 90s that was a mouse and keyboard. 2000s that's a touch screen. remember the initial ThinkPads with that kind of sick touch screen that didn't really work.
Got greasy after like 1 week, and
I have my story around that. We'll talk about that later.
And then 2000s, and the GenAI, the first GenAI was doing research at in academia, and one day a colleague of mine came in and he said, "Did you see it, guys?" And he brought in the SCI Gen. Did you see that tool? Because the guys in MIT built the first GenAI tool that created the scientific papers.
Okay.
So it had a like very simple interface. You put the names and just hit generate.
Oh, wow.
And they built that to prove that the level of generation was on the level that is undistinguishable from the other papers, which gives the credit to the quality of the papers on average conference.
Right. Oops.
And they actually published like 17 papers in various reviewed conferences.
Wow.
You can still find it online.
It's
in
just
Google.
like made up text data.
It doesn't make sense. It's got the formatting of IEEE. It's got the papers. You can download it from GitHub.
Oh dear.
Okay. I just to show you your day to day. You'll start googling and then putting up. But that's 2011, something like that. And so that's 2011. We've got GenAI. And it's proven that we've got it because there was a scientific paper. So it's not like 2023, 2022. No, it's like it goes back. So that's the new interface. So now all the applications will start having the natural language interface.
Right.
If it's chat, if it's voice, doesn't really matter. I saw the other day, when was it? Like half year back, the guys from AWS came in and they showed me how to generate a website just using Claude.
Woohoo!
It was like 6 months back.
Yeah.
Now everybody's crazy with O1. Okay,
Yeah.
I get it. It's just better, way better. But that's nothing like crazy. It's like that what happens. Like we will be able to command the machine with the natural language. And that's fine. But the people don't understand it's not just a chatbot, it's the new user interface.
Right.
Like the touch screen.
And that's an important distinction, right? It's hard for someone, and I talked about this before. This is a new shift in mindset. It's a completely different way of thinking of what you can do. And what we are doing right now in generative AI, we're just scratching the edges. The art of possible is so much.
Generative edges.
And that's the generative edge. There you go. And the art of possible is so much that I don't think we have opened up our minds to actually think what it can do, right? And that's why you have a most amazing role, I would say, which I'm very envious, right? And I'm just coming back to that, right? So what is that biggest inhibitor when you speak to the C-suite in terms of for them to ideate what good is? Do they start off with POC, and how do you see that activation happening in your side? Yeah,
that's funny. So Deloitte does the quarterly study. It's like 2,700 world best companies, like top companies, and their CEO, CFO. And we started in Q1, so like data from December last year, published in January, then Q1 and Q3 we are now. And in Q1, everybody was absolutely certain that not that the world was flat, but that everybody knew that they had the best people in-house, data people, and they do. Every company, and Deloitte advised them so, to have the data people in-house. As well, they were absolutely certain that the GenAI will impact them in the next 12 to 24 months. Good. In Q2, everybody were certain where to look for the business case. 70% of the people were certain that it will be decreasing the cost of the company in, I don't know, accounting. We can get into the survey later on. In Q3, they admitted that only about 1/3 of the projects were put into production. And that's nothing bad about it. It's just that the project started out of the excitement. And now the C-suite were excited about the AI and about GPT. And that's well received because that's a fastest growing startup ever. And they went down to the sellers to the data people. They open up the doors that they had closed for how many years. We just put lights on. The data guys are like, oh, what the hell is going on there? And they said, this is GenAI. Yes. Can you do that? Sure.
Why not?
That's exciting. So they started building some of those things. And I met a client just came out from the workshop last week. And we are working with the client for some 4 months now. And we first met them in December last year. And he said, okay, so this is GenAI. This is exciting. It is, fine. We can help you on changing your finance planning. He said, okay, we probably can help about that. And I said, yep, that's probably the good pace. But we already have 7 MVPs that we've built with some other company. So we are already well matured. It was December, Q1. Everybody knew that they've got the right people. And I said, sure. How many are in production? One. None. Okay.
Oh, none. Okay. Yikes.
Good. Okay, that's all right. That's expected. So let's work in parallel on something different. And by the time we started project somewhere in April, May, still nothing in production. We went developing the things. In August, they put the first one in production. Why? Because over the past 8 months, they built the tool, they presented to the business, and the people from business said, okay, so now I've got the engine here. It's like, you remember the Top Gear when they had the engine stool, like a table in between them. So that's a nice engine. Good. How will that get my kids to school? And I said, well, you just sync on that and it will go. No, I'm probably missing some wheels.
Right.
Right. Wheels. We'll get some wheels there. And they put on some wheels. And they started building the car from the engine. And the engine was absolutely brilliant. It's the best implementation that they ever could have had at that point of time. That's all good.
I'm going to steal this analogy later, by the way. I really like this analogy. Continue.
So it's like all the data guys, and I'm IT. All the IT guys care about is that the engine works.
Right.
That the thing that they built works brilliantly, and they did that. You remember when I first met Kat Kalesh years back. We built some proposal for a client. I said, okay, so what will be the accuracy of the model? It was well before GenAI.
Right.
And she said, well, it will be as good as it can be.
That's a good answer, yeah.
Good. So how much? Well, how much will you give me money for? And to get the money, I need to understand what the business case will be for the client.
Right.
So you need to understand like the business. Okay. So let's say 70%. Okay, good. So it has to be 70%. It doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
But you can start building the business case with the CFO on that. And that's what the business people now understood. Like they killed 70% of the projects. Good. Because they have tested out that they can do that now. So now the question is, should I build or should I buy?
Right.
Should I wait for, I don't know, SAP, Salesforce, ServiceNow, whichever other company to come in with the module that will do the stuff for me, reading the invoices, reconstructing the controlling sheets, reading the CVs, unbiased, right?
Right.
Or should I build that? Because I'm the only one who's got the data, and I don't want to give the data to anybody else.
Exactly. And some of the time, usually whenever you're in a business and you're using specific tools like Microsoft Teams or these other tools that are built by really large companies, they have so much more in terms of resources to actually build those things and integrate it into the things that you're already using. So, I mean, in the early days, there were a lot of questions like, can we build something that takes all of our Teams data, all of our SharePoint data, and builds a tool on top of it in a chatbot? And the answer was, of course, yes, you can, but Microsoft is probably already on it, and it doesn't make sense to put any effort into it at the moment. But if you have some kind of process that's like very company specific, and there's definitely not going to be anyone else trying to solve that problem, those are the use cases that you actually have to build out in-house.
Exactly. And yes, you see that with your clients, right? As the hype curve goes down and then into the plateau of the mundane routine grayness.
And I just want to drill down a bit on that, right? I think you made some great analogy and some important points just for the viewers, right? If I need to summarize, any new technology has its adoption curve.
Oh,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
And then everyone jumps in trying to solve all the problems of the world, thinking that this is a God-sent gift and this solves every problem. But what you just ironed out in terms of your experience here, there is a method to this madness, right?
There is.
And if you need to summarize, and if you need to give all the C-suites who are actually listening to us, how do they get rid of a POC fatigue, right? So if they need to start today, what have you learned from others, which probably they can leverage now and probably do the right thing? What would be your advice to them, Jan?
We just went on automating or improving the process of the finance planning. We set out in April. Now we are putting things in production. So that's how many? 8 months, 6 months, something like that. In the 6 months, we built 4 tools that will decrease the effort by 70% on that financial planning exercise.
Right.
Awesome.
Which doesn't say the people will not be needed, because they need to do the finance planning on top of other duties that they've got in the organization.
Right.
So they will save the money. The accuracy will be much better because it's international organization. So you've got how many languages there. So it will be one language. It will be one sentiment, all general English without any mistakes. So all of the good things, but you started with a process. So instead of taking us, so we came there, so they already had the 20-ish use cases there. So they started building that in I don't know, September. So let's say it took them 12 months to develop one to production.
Yeah.
While we set on this IT, while we set on the course from business, and yes, leverage what they learned, by the way, but we were able to do that in 6 months to production with some tangible outputs. And that's the difference, because if you think about that as about the process change, then you can get to the benefit. If you think about that tool that will help them potentially, you need to find the reason for the tool.
Right. And even with some business use cases, it's sometimes these processes that you do, for example, working for a large software company, they get customer service requests all the time that are tickets. Exactly. And then after they've been resolved, they need to be classified into one of 190 categories or something like that. But when they want to automate that process or make it more accurate, it turns out that once I finally get that data, around 30% of it is duplicated, which means that people are, doing this exact same job 30% more than they need to, and about 80 of those classifications are actually no longer valid, or they can be compressed into just one. So it's actually a much easier problem after you've taken a look at it, but you wouldn't know that, because usually these processes start very small, and they just start to expand and expand and expand, and they continue expanding until they're unmanageable. And that's kind of like the point where most, I think the tipping point happens, and they're like, okay, we need to figure out how to automate this. Oh, okay, it requires that we actually simplify the process, and then we can start working on it.
And it's we did this showcase to one of the IT management companies. They've got a data center, they've got the people that are maintaining the hardware and software, running the software for the companies. I said, okay, so can you guys example? Sure. So what if you're a technician, when you are under the DDoS attack, you resolve the DDoS attack, and then the technician needs to fill out the form into the ticket, explain what happened and so on. And they don't do that.
There's a lot of copy paste.
They don't have,
they
don't have the time for that, and they don't have the guts for that. Just lame. So what if you give them a tool that where they can record the thing, and the tickets will be populated all automatically, including resolution.
Right.
We can do that. Of course we can do that.
That's a great point, yeah.
So just start with the problem that they know. But I always say it's not that you go to the grocery store and buy 2 carrots and 1 AI. AI is not an SAP.
I would love to buy that.
Yeah, 2 carrots and an AI, great.
You just don't go, it's not SAP. You deploy SAP, you know the known savings from it, because there was years of development there. No, AI, if it's Gen AI, if it's custom built models, is always domain specific, right? It's always domain specific problem.
Right.
So if it's classifying, if it's recognition, if it's extraction data, fine. It's always domain specific. You need to understand the domain. You need to now you don't need to rebuild the LLM, but in the old days you would rebuild the model with some data,
Right.
and then you put this decisioning machine in the wider scheme of
Decisioning in
software.
big air quotes. Yes. Yeah.
So-
Last question.
No, I think I'm just trying to summarize what I understood from you, Jan. Right. So, I think POC fatigue is real, right? So it's like anything else. I think everyone should be aware of it. If you're having that, you're not alone, right? Everyone's actually going through that.
Big fear missing out from everybody.
Yeah, and usually that happens when you have a new technology coming, right? So it's always a hammer looking for a nail.
Yeah.
And as an organization, you get mature. So if there's one takeaway which I hear from you is, no matter what the technology is, always start back from your problem statement, work backwards from your customers.
Absolutely.
Figure out what is that you want to achieve. It's not a cool, flashy technology thing which turns out some wonderful reports or does automate something. It's about what is that it's going to have an impact on. Working backwards from that, making it real. To your point, you know how to build the engine, but give it some wheels so that it can take you to a destination. And then work towards how do we achieve it, and then make it real, right? So that's the way you get out of from a POC fatigue to actually taking applications.
There's like
Live in this fantasy world, but stay grounded.
Stay grounded.
like every student these days will get you the GitHub sourse code and will build you a reg case.
Right.
Every student of in high school, at the university, will make you a demo of a chatbot over data. Every one of them. There is nothing about that crazy. It's how you use it in the business context. That's what you don't know, right?
Yeah. One last question, probably 1 minute. What do you predict for future on GenAI?
GenAI. So specifically GenAI, I see that the models are getting very similar. There's no question about it, because the data from which they learn are like
More or
not
less the
endless.
same.
There's a space of data that they can use to learn. So that will be kind of very similar. And the people that are making those models, they are shifting between the companies. So that's kind of like, and the research is public. So that's kind of similar. I'm a bit skeptical or not really happy about the decision on one that the reasoning is hidden.
The chain of thought prompts.
Not really happy about that. So the LLMs will kind of plateau to some reasonable quality. Multimodal, yes, it will speed up the software development crazy high.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
So I'm a bit worried about those IT guys building cars without the
Instruction manuals.
Instruction manuals, but there might be like safety features missing there.
Yeah.
Because they just build that and they love it. And if in the good hands, it will be a brilliant car until you crash. So I'm a bit worried there, and that's where I'm trying to navigate a bit.
Jan, I want to thank you for taking the time to meet with us today. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jan. We learned a lot today. Appreciate you coming here.
It's always a pleasure with you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thanks everybody for tuning into the Generative Edge. We'll see you next week. And remember, generate responsibly.